What's up, everybody? It's Coach Colton here at Columbus Martial Arts, and I'm here with Mr. Cole. If you don't know, Mr. Cole is that's one of our students in our leadership program, Miss Blake, and he's going to join me. We're going to talk about some stuff today. Mr. Blake, Mr. Cole, how you doing today?
No, I'm doing great, man. What about yourself?
Doing awesome. For people that don't know, can you tell a little bit about yourself, what you do in the community, that kind of stuff?
So, we used to live in Boston. We moved down here. My wife accepted a job here, so came to a smaller community and kind of fell in love with it. I know you didn't ask that, but I always have to say that about Columbus, man. It's a wonderful area. So I'm in medical device sales, cover North America for one of a medical device manufacturer and distributor. That's the day job, right? My personal passion is helping kids develop, right? Helping teach kids leadership, because it's hard. It's hard being a young person, right? You're always being told what to do. You have to listen and learn and react. But yeah, so I would say in the community, I just try to reach out to anybody I can, young people that is, and try to help them develop, whether it's just, 5, 6, 7, 8 year olds like Blake or Caleb, my son who's 3, or someone who's a junior, senior in high school. I think the development there is really important as well. So do a lot in schools, really in North America. We go into schools, talk to young people, and try to see where their mindset is to try to help them get to the next level.
Absolutely. And do you do those talks with a particular group that you're associated with, or how'd you get into that?
So yeah, it's funny. I was talking to my mom about that. I was a replacement for an 8th grade graduation speech years ago, right? Gotcha. And that's the very first time I started to talk. And then it just kind of kicked off word of mouth, right? I've spoken at quite a few national sales meetings for various companies about persistence, right? About focus. I think one of the things that get lost in the shuffle is it's not always the person with the most talent, right? It's not always the fastest, but it's the person who's the most consistent. You continue to put in the work day in, day out. If you're consistent, that's a talent, right?
Oh, for sure.
Availability is a skill set, right? I always tell young people that. So that's how it started, right? And people would say, hey, do you mind coming and talk to this group, that group? And then being in hospital sales, I actually used to sell the product and got, you move up, you're less close to selling the item, but you're closer to the people who can say, hey, do you mind come talking to this burn unit or this group of kids who, they're dealing with leukemia or whatever that. So you see what's really important at that point. You talk to enough people think you do okay, right? You're not too bad.
Right.
They ask you to come talk to other groups. It's something I would never market because I think I'm kind of on the fence on that part, right? I know you got to market yourself. Branding is important. We talk about branding with young people too. Who do you want people to see you as? But yeah, people just ask me to come talk to groups, and as much free time as I have, I'll do it.
100%. I agree. So much consistency is key. And, on the marketing side, sure, like social media and everything, like everyone's marketing, you get so many ads and robocalls and marketing, right? But, word of mouth, just being good at something, having a passion for it, and then that spreading organically is some of the best marketing. I was just talking to another parent, and he got into banking and finances and stuff. And I was kind of trying to backtrack that a little bit. I think, we talk to youth a lot about what they want to do when they grow up and their passions. And as kids, I think everyone has that aha moment, like you with your speech. You're like, man, I'm really passionate about leadership and public speaking and stuff. And as soon as that itch kind of gets scratched, like, oh man, the path kind of becomes clear. How'd you get into like the medical sales side? Can you tell me about how you got into that?
Yeah, so my wife's a physician, so that's the direct line. And I've always been in sales, right? Because I've always talked. I think if there's one thing I figured out, I enjoy talking to people. And I enjoy going to different places, right? On a daily basis, it's ever changing. And that's why I say, okay, I want to do a sales job that allows me to talk to different people. I want to talk to high level people smarter than me so I can learn, right? Because my family's always talked about that when you stop learning, right? Like you really, it's a cap on everything. So I want to be around people who I can grow from, who I can ask questions to. So my wife was like, hey, you really should think about, doing pharmaceutical sales. And really it was a struggle to get into the industry. I think talk about persistence. It was really hard. When I broke in, I kind of had a chip on my shoulder, which I don't think those are bad. You got to have it the right way. But I said, it's really tough getting in here, but I'm going to prove everybody that I deserve to be here, right? I belong. And I had to work at it. I had to, the vernacular wasn't common to me. The anatomy wasn't common to me. I mean, I know bones and,
right.
But you got to go way deeper than that, right? So I had to study on the weekends at night. I remember missing a lot of things, but, you fast forward to where you are now, you say that was very small to get to where you are now. but yeah, like I luckily someone gave me opportunity that I probably didn't deserve, but I've been trying to pay it forward ever since then. Yeah.
100%. And again, I think that resonates a lot here. I always talk about the black belt mindset as someone who's constantly trying to grow. So I agree. When you stop learning, you cap yourself and you get stagnant. Before you did pharmaceutical sales, you said you've been in the sales industry for a long time. What was your first job selling and doing that? Was it vacuums? Was it door to door? Was it retail? Tell me about that.
So I wore a suit every day and I wouldn't wash cars.
Oh, okay.
I worked the enterprise rental car.
Gotcha.
The best foundation that I've ever had, right? And it's funny, early on in my career, I would make that joke, right? I put on my suit. I only had 2 suits, right? One was black, one was blue. Mm-hmm. I would go out there and I never thought that I was going to be washing cars like that, but I did. I did that for 5 years, and that was the launch board for everything. And I never understood it then, but all the recruiters, all the other people that look for enterprise or people who do similar work, right? Like there's copier sales, Xerox, companies like that people kind of recruit from. They say if you can be persistent in that, you can hold on to that job where it's not as desirable, right? And you're working from 7 a.m. You got to get there by 6:30 to 7 p.m., right? Yeah. And then that's when you close. You stay to clean up. And if you can hold that and keep your dignity in check, they think you can do anything, right? They think you're coachable. People can kind of form you and you like to learn, but you're not afraid of hard work. So those are some of the things. But yeah, working in enterprise was my first job. And it's crazy, when I was in college, I had an internship actually washing cars, but I could wear shorts and t-shirts. So right. I was like, it was fun. Yeah. I was like, oh, this is great. Right. Like going there, like break from school, they had free sodas. So I was like, oh, I wash cars with just sodas all day. But fast forward, that was my first job and got promoted. What I liked about enterprise is the managers did everything too. I love that. Then that concept I've taken with me. No one will listen to you if you haven't done it, right? Or if you're not willing to do it. So I try to keep that at heart, right? I got to be willing to carry the boxes in and break them down. And if we're having a lunch, I got to bring in the pizza or Panera. I got to be able to do and willing to do anything that needs to be done, level of respect. So
100%. And you've been in sales for a long time. And sometimes, sales gets a bad rap, they're like, oh man, especially like the used car salesman vibe. They're like, oh man, people don't like to be sold. And it's a tough thing to do. Going back even further, traveling back even further in your youth and going through school, did you know that you wanted to do sales? Did you like, man, I want to sell this certain item or do this certain thing? Did you have that role model? How'd you get into that sales mindset?
So it's funny. I had no clue.
Okay.
No clue at all. And and the way I sell now, it's funny you say that. We joke about vendor salesmen or like old car salesmen, because now it has to be a consultative sale, right? Like we have to find where the gaps are, and we have to agree the best way to close the gap is potentially whatever I have, right? But I want you to agree. I want you to tell me that versus me saying you gotta buy this, you gotta have it, like that. That doesn't work, right? If you're doing that, like there's a lot of training that we gotta go through, right? So, and I didn't have a real, other than my parents, and my sister, I would say is one of my biggest mentors. Like, I always tell people she loved me so much it hurt, right? Right, big sisters, how that goes. But and that's why I try to mentor so many people, because in my neighborhood growing up, my parents worked 2 jobs, did everything, right? Heroes in my eyes. But I didn't have someone outside of that was a person that I could look at and say, this is my mentor, this is how I want to do it. But you go off to school and you learn from people from other areas, and you're like, okay, they can do this, right? Oh, this person can be a doctor. I didn't even know I could be a doctor, or this person, or, you can go into sales, you can do this. So you got to be very observant. Luckily, I listened more than I talked at that point. Like talk too much now, but back then I was listening a lot, trying to digest it because everything was new. And that's when I said, hey, this might work for me. This might be an opportunity. A lot of trial and error too, though. Goes back to the persistent part.
And now as a parent, do you see those kind of cogwheels turning for Blake? Does she know what she wants to do? Is she still trying to find her passion? Where is she at with things?
She wants to be a boss princess. I think we have to find that curriculum in school.
The boss princess.
Right. We got to etch that out somewhere. But we do like what's neat, with the way the world's changed. I didn't have internet till I came home from college, right, in the house. But like she's like, hey, I want to do TikTok videos, have a YouTube channel. and we kind of pump the brakes a little bit on that, but like we want her to be creative.
Yeah.
So we record stuff at home and like we fine tune it. She tells jokes. So I don't know if she wants to be a comedian, but like she wants to be very social. I do know that. You know, and we're trying to gear now. Her mom's a doctor, so I want to be a doctor, which because she wants to help people, right? Like she's like, what kind of doctor can help the most people? So we need to outline a little more detail there because she's like, whatever helps the most people, that's the kind of doctor I want to be. And we're like, well, that's a good start though.
Yeah,
right?
That's a good heart.
Exactly,
Good heart.
Good heart. So that's where she is. But yeah, we definitely can see it rolling. And not to pivot to what happens in here, but ever since she started here, we talk about discipline, right? Like that's such an art form. She's got discipline now, right? And we talk about manners, her manners. I could tell there's two groups of people that if I said, I'm gonna tell the coaches for martial arts, she's gonna say, please don't let me tighten up. I'm gonna tell your grandparents, please don't let me tighten up. Those are the two groups, right? Outside of that, it's hit or miss, right? It's kind of like I don't what's on the line for it, but she respects it so much in here, and that's because of the structure, right, that you guys put in place. So again, not to pivot too much, but yeah, she her wheels are churning for sure.
Absolutely, and that's a great place to start. I think I remember being a kid and they'd have a career day and stuff, and you get bombarded with that question, what do you want to do when you grow up?
Yeah.
And I never knew until I got into martial arts and I kind of had that aha moment. And with kids nowadays with the internet and TikTok and stuff, I think that's kind of like the new basketball, football player kind of a thing. When I was a kid, that's what the kind of lofty dream was. I want to play this game. I want to play the game of football or baseball, something that's fun to me as a kid and get paid $1 bajillion doing it. Right. And now it's kind of shifted where if I ask 10 kids what they want to be, either they're not going to know, or the large majority, I'd say 7, 8 out of 10 want to do YouTube, TikTok, social media stuff, which isn't bad. It's just kind of that shift with the technology. And I think a lot of those kids will ultimately have their aha moment and be like, oh, well, that'd be really cool if I could, but it's really competitive. It's really hard to do. Talking about tough industries to break into, that space is really competitive. And, they'll go over there and do that other thing. But, Blake's been training with us for a long time. I can pull up and show you later. We have like a picture of her like on her profile of her just like smiling, and she's got to be like maybe 5 years old or something like that, much younger. Yeah. She's grown so much. When you were first getting her into martial arts, what were your goals for her? Was this going to be a fun thing that she did for a while, or what was the motivation?
Exercise.
Right,
that's it. We just wanted her to exercise something maybe she could pick up on, and you guys accepted her, right? Like at the age, like there's a lot of things that people are like, oh, she's a little too young. I think she started around 3.5. To be honest,
for a long time,
right?
She's been very consistent.
Yeah. And you guys were great with young kids, right? Fantastic structure with young kids, and speaking of word of mouth, a couple of parents recommended that to my wife. We immediately loved it, and she loved it, right? You had them run around the mat, stretch, it was exercise, but it was fun. She didn't know she was exercising. She was like, I'm having fun. But then it turned into, I want to do this, right? Like, and now I see her, and not to skip over all the years that she's been here, but where she is now, she has her notepad with notes, right? Like, this is what I have to do. And my wife and I challenged her, and she doesn't even know this, but she does now, but we used to come in here and sit and kind of coach her up on everything. Now we have her come in here by herself, independent. She brings back the lesson to us. This is what I need to work on. And she's done that, and she's getting her stripes right. And what I'm most proud of is the time she doesn't get it, how she reacts, right? Like, I think when you get it, it's awesome, right? Yeah. But like the time she doesn't get the stripes or doesn't get we need to go to work, Dad. Like I got to work on this because she wants to prove to herself that she can get it done. But yeah, like initially, exercise and fun, right? Like something, interact with other kids, and the way you guys did things through COVID was tremendous. Big kudos. I don't know if you hear that a lot, but big kudos. Yeah. That was. I mean, the world was being changed with a Sharpie. Typically, when the world changes with a pencil that you can erase, right? Yeah. Okay, let's try this. Now it was a big Sharpie the size of this microphone. You couldn't go back, right? And it was real crazy. Time.
I remember I heard about it on the news. I'm like, it's this thing. I think it started like over, and I don't know what the news was saying, Asia, or going like, or in Columbus, Georgia, right. We're so insulated. And then I want to say it was like a Tuesday or Wednesday, prime time, right after parents get off work, students come in that 5:30, 6:30 slot, and It's like the classes were a third. And I was like, whoa, okay,
This
parents are
real.
worried about this. This is real. It's really happening. And then we have a meeting and talk to everybody about it. We pivoted. We did the online class thing, which was a big challenge.
Yeah.
And there might have been some other times they're close second, but I don't think I've ever worked harder than right then, because going through the screen, you lose so much energy.
Oh,
it's like, I know what Steve from Blue's Clues feels like now. Like, I gotta pump it up. I gotta put the self to the screen, get the kids at home moving and grooving and doing the martial arts. But doubling back really quickly to what you said about not getting it, that's where I got to sing your praises. And I talked to another parent about this. Is a lot of kids, when they hit that wall and they don't get the belt or they don't get the stripe, we track the statistic. Half of them, Mom, Dad, I don't want to do martial arts anymore. I want to quit. It's not fun. And parents are paying for it. It's like, oh, it's not fun. You don't want to do it? Let's take our ball and go home. And with your family, complete opposite. I had I don't know if it was you or Mom, but someone had recorded the belt testing one time when Blake didn't get it. And she said, hey, I had recorded the test. Can you just go over it really quick why you didn't make it? And I was like, sure. At 1 minute, 27 seconds, this happened. Got the notes. Next time, 180 change. I could see the work being done. Such a great mindset. Talk about never stop learning. Blake just turned into a sponge overnight, and she's like, shh. And sometimes we just kind of need that. Oh, I got some stuff to do. And, her mindset, family mindset there was so important. Consistent perseverance there, not getting down like in a negative headspace. Blake was just thinking, how can I, get it next time?
Absolutely.
So 100% on the praise there.
And that's Mom. Let me 99% is Mom, and or let's say 50 Mom, 50 Blake, or 49 Blake or whatever, 1 me, because it just our culture in the household is you can stop anything when you're at a finishing point, right? And you don't have to restart it again. But we're not going to stop anything because we couldn't get to a point, right? Like if we fail at something or deem it fail, because failure is like you never fail until you quit, right? Like,
absolutely.
But like if you're not getting this situation, to be specific, if you don't get your belt, that is not a point to quit, right? Like if you say I'm going to get to, and we always say write down what you want. If you say I want to get to my purple belt, that's where I want to get, and at that point I'll reassess. Hey, you get your purple, we reassess. Totally cool there, but not a moment before. 100%. It's just life is so challenging that for us, right? Just speaking of us, we don't want to set a culture up where it's okay to stop things because they get hard, right? Because this is a loving environment. And I don't know that other parents that haven't tried this, and this isn't like we were talking about ad. This isn't an ad to come in, right? I mean, we've told enough people to come here, but if this is a loving recreational activity for the kids that can really build something in them. So I would definitely say that this isn't the spot where you say I don't want to do it. This is a spot where when it gets hard you want them in here because you guys want them to get it. And I love the black belt speech. One of those kids said, I remember I failed and I was upset. And I was like, I was like, I want to hear, tell me more. He said, I went back and worked. And when he said, that's when I reached out, I was like, I love that, right? Because life is built on what do you do when you're told no? What do you do when you fall down? I know we always say you fall down, you get back up. It's easy to say, it's hard to do, right? Yeah. And that's what society's built on because it's way more no's outside of these walls than it is yeses, right? Yeah.
And again, 100% praises on that because a lot of parents don't make that connection and they don't realize, oh, magically it's not fun when they fail. They don't put the two and two together. Maybe they just kind of take the child at their word. But those junior black belt speeches, when they talk about, what they've learned from white belt to black belt, we had a recent group of 5 kids. 3 of those 5 failed their first black belt test. And we test that every 3 to 4 months. So it's a longer time to wait. And they've been probably training for that first test for, 6 months to a year.
Wow.
So that really tests the motivation there. And it is kind of insulated. It's a belt. It's all just symbols of things that are going to affect you in the real world, like in sales.
Sure.
Like if your passion isn't selling, that's fine.
Right.
But I'm sure there's a couple of days where maybe you get the sale, maybe you don't. You can't quit on not the sale, right?
Exactly.
It's kind of like that roller coaster.
Exactly. You can't quit.
Right.
And I love the belts because I always say everyone likes trophies, right? Everyone likes to put something on their wall, right? And even Blake now, she's like, do you have a new mount to put the belts on? I was like slow down, grasshopper. Yeah. It's coming. So, sure. But no, it's beautiful. Those speeches were they were awesome. I mean, that's one of my highlights. And honestly, my kid wasn't up there, but like the fact that
she'll be soon.
She's
getting up there.
She's working on it, right?
Yeah.
She's working on, and what I love, she loves the ability to come in here and coach some of the younger kids. Now, I will say this: it's just a tidbit. When Caleb starts, Blake cannot be his coach. She's gonna torment him. But
how do they get along at home?
Oh, they're good.
They're
She again reminds me of my sister. The love is so much it might hurt him, and he's little. She's way bigger than him.
Right.
So like she's like, stop. He says, stop, Blake. You're leaning on me. Stop. So right. But no, they get along really well. And she's a big helper to me and my wife, like getting his breakfast or like he just got potty trained maybe a month ago. Nice. So she'll say, come potty. Come on, Caleb. Let's go. You need to go potty. Go potty. And we have all these potties around. So, right. But he won't do it. But instead, like the difference is we'll say, come on, Caleb, let's go. Give me your hand. She'll grab, like you're coming. Yeah. Like dislocate your shoulder, try to potty. But yeah.
So you're talking to me about how you go and you do these speeches and you talk about leadership and public speaking there. When you're giving those types of speeches for a lot of my students at home, that's a really big thing for them. Those 5 black belts, just by example, they're straight assassins on the mat. They'll take you out. But by nature, they're introverted. They don't like to public speak. It's borderline painful for them. Their heart's going. Can you tell me a little bit about maybe some public speaking tips or some leadership tips when you go and you give your talks? What are you seeing? How do you?
Yeah, no, that's good. So for not to overwhelm anybody, of course, but like a couple things I always tell people to start off with. All right, I try to give someone something that they can take, so the next time they try it is something good. But the first thing is, when you're doing a speech, talk about something you really do all the time, something you love, something you're comfortable with, right? Like, and write down bullet points. Instead of writing down the entire speech, write down 4 or 5 words that resonate with you. Maybe it's assassin, maybe it's black belt, maybe it's competition, things that you can expound on that are easy for you to talk about. Those are really, when you're talking about public speaking, and another thing, practice, right? No different than when you're on the mat. You talk about those 5 talking points and you want to record yourself. Everybody has a camera. Yeah. You want to record yourself on a cell phone, prop it up, and practice, right? And the more you can base things on words or phrases, the more it looks natural, right? Yeah. You go in somewhere and you have 5 topics that you want to talk about, just have those words in your head, or when you're practicing, write it on your hand, right? Where you glance and going, because you're going to have a podium or a mic, right? Little simple tips like that. But I would say get away from writing out your entire speech, unless you're talking to like a big group, big like right. You're on a monitor, that kind of thing. But like if you're wanting to practice to get better at it, 3 to 4 topics, talk to your friends. If you love skateboarding, talk about the board, talk about the wheels, talk about popping a wheel. And that might be way too old school, but talk about 3 or 4 things, and then time yourself at 7 minutes, right? Yeah. 7 minutes is a long time. Yeah. People always forget that, I got to talk for hours. No. A 5-minute speech is a long time. Get in front of a group and say welcome and wait 5 minutes on the clock. It will seem like 3 hours, right? So practice 5-minute increments, right? You talk 2 to 3 points, 5 minutes, record it, go from there. I think those are some good starting points, and then you build on that, just like everybody else. And we have Blake speak to us, and she raps and sings now. So but we used to have her talk to us, and she wouldn't say, and then we'd say, hey, just talk for a minute, right? We're gonna set the timer on Alexa for a minute, and we want you to talk about rainbows and unicorns. She loves rainbows. Used to rainbows and unicorns. What do you like best about them? She had 3 things: the colors, I like the horn, and unicorns fly. So she talks about those 3 things. Okay, now we want you to talk for 2 minutes. You got to get 2 minutes. So you just build on it. It reminds me of when she came in here, she could never do a push-up. And, I know you have kids you can do it on your knees when you're really little. Then you do the push-ups when you're on your toes. And then you do the one-arm push-ups, right? But you can't come in here doing the one-arm push-ups, right? You can't start. So the biggest tip I would say outside of those, like that are more structural, if you're standing in front of a forest and you had to get to the other side, it would be intimidating. But if I told you just put 1 foot in front of the other until you were on the other end of that thing, you knew you could do it, because you can put 1 foot in front of the other. I would say that's the same thing with speaking. Just put 1 foot in front of the other, and then when you look up, you'll be done with your speech. be talking about something of fulfillment that's important to you, and then you can build on that, right? Like, don't ever think I got to talk for 45 minutes to a group of 1,000 people. And honestly, with the internet, you're talking to millions of people anyway. So don't ever think of I got 1,000 people in front of you. No, you're just talking to one person, right? Because really, you're trying to reach one person,
Right.
And that's what I always tell groups too. It's who you're reaching, not who you're actually looking at. You're trying to reach one person who can make an impact, because that one person can make an impact for another person, spiral effect. So don't think of you're speaking to 1,000 people. You're just talking to one that you're trying to impact.
Great tips there. A lot to unpack. For sure. I definitely, in the first moments that you were speaking, talking about the bullet points and just a couple things that you can expound upon, my mind goes back. I think it was one of our first bigger promotion ceremonies with the stage and everything like that. And I had made some note cards, but I had forgotten them.
Yeah.
So I tried to do notes on my phone, and that was really tough.
It'll lock on you.
Yeah. And I was writing a lot because every time I think I overthink. So I'd write more. And before you know it, I have the whole speech on there. So I'm reading from the phone, and then I scroll, and it goes way past. And like, oh, I got to go back. So I have like a microphone in one hand. I'm trying to like go back, and it's rough. So I 100% like just get a pack of note cards,
exactly.
A couple of bullet points will be good to go. I'm so excited for Blake to keep developing that muscle, because I know that she wants to help the students, and she's been coming to the teaching Skillz classes and learning those skills. And I've seen her come in and help with a couple of classes, and I can see with her posture and with her eyes and everything that she wants to help, but she's also kind of like, I'm also still a youth, a kid. So she's kind of like leaning against the back. She's kind of in the back with her hands in tight, eagerly waiting for a coach to tell her to do something. And she wants to kind of bridge that gap. I think she's going to be a great assistant instructor one day. She's going to do awesome with it. Because when I first met Blake, I think she was like a lot of students where you're going to kind of build that trust a little bit. You have to build that connection, because there's a wall there where you get 1 or 2 word answers. As soon as that wall is lowered, you get like the full student. Right. And a lot of parents, they'll bring in their child for the first lesson and say, he's having a problem talking at school. He's got a ton of energy. And they hop on the mat for the first time, and it's this well-mannered little guy who's just like very, and then on day 2, that's when you get the full Tasmanian devil kind of experience. A lot of parents with multiple kids will see that too, where they kind of have maybe one student who's more introverted and one student who's more extroverted. Do you see that with
100%? The youngest one, Caleb, he's shy. Now at home, he's wild, Tasmanian, like a wild man, but he'll come in here, he'll be very shy. And that's why we can't wait for him to get on the mat. We want him to be potty, of course, fully potty trained before he gets out here.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know, right? Clean up on aisle 6. But yes, this will be great for him. Like this, we're gearing up. We want him to try a couple classes, but like Blake's gonna be doing it. Like we want him in here because he's very introverted, very shy, and like people talk to him. He'll be laughing, joking, screaming, and then someone new will come and he'll just, where Blake's like, hey, I know, right? We're like, no, Caleb, like this is such and such. He's like, and then he'll turn his head. We're like, no, don't do that. So, but yeah, this will be good for him as well, right? Yeah, he's very introverted. And another thing, not to pivot, I say that a lot. The kids in the program are tremendous. There are 2 little kids that goes to Blake school that open the door. They're 5th graders, right? Blake's in 3rd grade. They open the door when you drop off in the drop-off line. And every morning, one of the 2, and they're like, hey, Blake's dad, how's it going? Have a good day. Like, and they know us from here. Of course they know Blake. Like I see her high-fiving them and stuff. But like, you can almost read, and I didn't know they were in here, but to tell you what I felt, I asked Blake, I said, did they do jiu-jitsu with you? She was like, yeah. She was like, Jason, right? And I was like, yeah. I said, well, I don't remember him from class. I was like, but just you know, right? Like you get the vibe. She was like, yep. And I was like, makes sense, right? Makes sense. Yeah.
I'm glad to hear those guys are out there doing good in the world.
Yeah.
I don't always have I see them every once in a while. I'll see someone out and about. Like a few months ago, we saw Blake at dinner. I was having dinner with Coach Simon, and we were talking about the academy and stuff actually. And I saw her, and I think it was kind of like one of those things where she like saw me and she didn't want to come over because it was a little embarrassed. But when I see those students out and about, I kind of sometimes I'll like sneak close so I can hear and see, are they using their manners? Are they doing the right thing?
Absolutely.
And then bust out around the aisle. Hey, you better use your manners. I'll do that sometimes. Like,
that's so good.
A little bit, but
that's so good.
That's always a good thing. I wanted to go back really quick.
Sure.
You talked about going through, in your personal life, getting to where you are now, how in the past it seemed like a minuscule thing. And in the moment, it feels like you're doing this really heavy thing. But now looking back, you have this career that you're happy with and you see all the hard work. For anyone, adult, child, doesn't matter, who's in the thick of it right now, going through those tough times, how do you stay motivated? How do you, keep pushing forward?
Well, first thing is that there's people who love you. You always got to remember that, right? Whether people are telling you that or not. And there's people rooting for you that you don't even know, right? There's people who are sitting there saying, Coach, I hope Coach is doing good. I hope the gym is doing good. I hope the program is doing good, that have never even talked to you. But they know the work that you're doing because someone told them that. That's the same with kids. There's someone rooting for you right now that you don't even know, right? That's the first thing. The second thing is always believe that you have purpose here, right? We're all here for a purpose. We might not know what that, I literally am still, I kind of figured it out, but like, I'm still figuring it out, right? To some degree. But there's a purpose, right? Like we're all here for something special. We just got to figure that out and we got to get around the right people. And another thing, I always think whenever I've gone through something really challenging, it's to prepare me for something else. So I'm ready for that next challenge, right? Yeah. I always think, it's never as good as it feels, and it's never as bad as it seems, right? It's somewhere in the middle.
That saying.
Yeah,
that's a great saying. Yeah, I'm gonna steal that one.
No, it's yours. They stamp it, right? So it's somewhere in the middle, right? Like you win the lottery. That's a great feeling. Now you become everybody's favorite cousin, right? You're finna pay 80% of taxes, right? That's not necessarily a bad part, but like you're in the lottery. But like there's a lot of things that come with it, right? And there's a lot of good, but there's a lot of bad. So like it's in the middle. And that's the same thing when bad things happen, or and I like to say challenging things. When challenging things happen, you put them in perspective, and it goes to the forest. You're dealing with this big block. Break it down, right? One foot in front of the other, right? Like if you were in debt, student loans for $100,000, you're not gonna pay that off at once. You're gonna pay 100 at a time, get to 1,000 down. Now you owe 99. Now I got to get to 98, right? Write it on paper. How you think you can get through this? The people that you do trust and believe in, show them your plan. This is what I'm thinking, whether it's financial or physical or mental or situation at school, you're having trouble passing a math test, ask for help, right? Yeah. And I would say reach out. And if they're in this program, there's definitely people they can reach out to, right?
100%. Yeah. Right now, if you're going through problems, reach out.
Yeah, exactly.
We got Facebook.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Reach out, because there's people who love the kid. Like you guys want them to be their best. At the end of the day. So reach out to people. But yeah, that's what I would say. And when I was going through those things, I'm not sure that I would map it out quite like that, but I was so determined to get to the next phase, right? I think when I grew up, there was so much connectivity because we were out, right? Like it was competitive. You were around people. It's a little different now with social media, the internet, which is a good thing, right? Because like we're getting so much technology, but I think you really have to put pen to paper and say, this is how I'm going to get through this, in my opinion, and then bring it to someone like you and say, Coach, what do you think? Like, this is what I'm dealing with. And just never be embarrassed, because especially for young people, you will be shocked to know that, say, me and Coach went through the same, we went through the same thing. It might seem different, look different, but it's the same obstacle that you're probably 100%. Facing right now, right? Yeah. We can help you with it because we have different resources than we did when we were 8, 10, or 12, right?
Yeah, and back there, 8, 10, and 12, you think this one thing is this huge thing, and it's really not. As an adult, you look back, it's like this pea-sized problem,
right? Like, I dyed my hair green and it won't come out.
Right.
That's totally fine. It'll grow out.
It'll
right?
be okay.
It'll be good. It'll be okay, right?
And then like being out and being competitive, and technology has changed things. I think that is that's one thing. Like, I'm not sure what your thoughts are on social media. I think everyone kind of has their own, like, where their line is, their comfortability level. But I think other than just straight bullying, that's kind of like the number 2 thing that kind of tips the scales against social media for me with certain youth is sometimes it just kind of misrepresents the trials and the problems that everyone's going through. Is you think, oh man, the grass is greener over there, and that competition kind of comes through. It's like, oh, so and so's on their yacht right now, or out on the beach, or this, that,
100%.
and it's kind of I think the kids call it FOMO, like fear
Right,
of missing
right,
out.
yeah, right.
So
Exactly.
It kind of paints this unrealistic picture, and you think, oh, I'm stuck in this grind and this hole I'm never gonna get out of, and these people over here might be in the same hole, and just they only post when they're peeking their head out above it.
I couldn't agree more. There's good with it, right? Like, I'd be fair to social media. There are really good ways to make it work. You're a small business owner, you want to get your name out there, things like that. I think it's good branding, marketing. From the way you're talking about it is definitely a big challenge for me personally, because it doesn't. If you were painting the whole picture, it would be awesome.
Yeah.
But what it is a TV show, right? You only get it's Sports Center for those who watch. You're getting the highlights.
Yeah,
you're seeing the home run. You're seeing the person dunk the basketball. You're not seeing the hard foul. You're not seeing the person twist their ankle. You're not seeing the person tear their ACL. You don't see any of the challenges that go into it on social media. You just see the highlights. So that is not representative of what the day-to-day life is. So and as long as that perspective's there, but that's so hard for younger folks, because you're like, no, like I'm telling you, they get to eat steak every day. It's like, no, no one does, right? Like, so, they get to go on all these trips. I'm like, no one does. Like, that's the same trip. They have on the same clothes in every video, right? They're just splicing it. So I couldn't agree more that there needs to be context around this. Isn't real life. This is just highlights, and it's probably the same highlight over and over again. And it's a TV show, right? So whatever you think of TV, that it is very similar to that. It's how we do reality. I don't even want to use that term, because reality TV isn't reality, but it's a real-time TV show. I would put it that way. Yes, a lot of good things in it, but for that, definitely have to have awareness that is not real. Yeah.
And I know that you said that, like, Blake wants to do TikTok and make videos and be creative. If you don't mind me asking, kind of, where's your line on it? Because I think in my childhood, in my household, it was kind of, like you said, there's good and bad.
Sure.
I don't want to take it all away,
right,
but also you kind of have to be careful with it. I think I grew up where, that was just being created.
Mm-hmm.
So my household, they didn't really have an idea what was going on. So it's just, I had untethered access. It was, hey, do whatever you want, because we don't even know what it is. We don't even know how to work it.
Sure.
So for me, it was kind of overwhelming. And luckily, I think I turned out halfway. I don't have it all figured out, but halfway decent. But sometimes you don't have the maturity to understand what you're looking at. It can kind of get the wires crossed. As a parent, how do you navigate technology and social media? What are your guidelines for Blake? Do you monitor the screen?
100%, right? You have to. It's just too much going on. It's a open network, like, so we monitor only certain, and she can go on certain apps, right? And then the apps where, like, her friends, they play a game together, like we have to know who's it,
right.
we know everyone's login. Who is this person? Like, we've met them in person, and there's no friends that we haven't met, right? No friends we don't know the parents. And honestly, she doesn't have technology through the week because there's just too much going on. Because kids will start mouth breathing after about 30 minutes.
Right.
Like, it's like, so we, on the weekend, she can have it, but it's still very, she can watch Netflix shows. But as far as the internet, it's very limited, and we definitely you almost have to, right? Like, I don't like to talk in absolutes, but if you have a kid that's not driving, right? Like, I think you owe it to them to monitor, because fortunate, unfortunate, or it's really all unfortunate. There are people out there that don't wish well for little kids, like so you just got to make sure you keep them safe. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Gotcha. Awesome. Well, I think we sat down for like a 15-20 minute talk, and it's been about 40, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. But
you're good, man.
I've had a pleasure talking to you
Absolutely.
about different things. Before we wrap up the talk, is there any group, any cause that you want to shout out? Anything that you want to let people out there know about, parenting-wise, community-wise, leadership-wise, anything?
Well, Blake's in a group called Jack and Jill, which is tremendous. They help young people kind of bridge the gap, whether it's financial literacy, just healthcare education. They try to help build good people in the community, right? It's a mother's organization, but bigger than that, it's a family organization where they help kids out. So not necessarily shouting them out. I just know we do a lot of work there, but the shout out should go to you guys, right? And I mean that not because I'm sitting with you, but you've put a place in, and I feel like we've grown with you all from where you started to where you are now. And growth isn't easy, right? Like that's what they say, growing pains, right? You grow, your body aches. So, but you guys have done a tremendous job. You made it seamless for the parents, at least from our perspective. So my shout out would be, if you got a kid that you want to learn, have a good time, but learn discipline and learn structure and have some self accountability, bring them here, right? Like, and I know I'm talking to you, so like it's like, but like bring them here. But like that's my shout out. Like I'm grateful for what you all have done, not only for my kid, but again, I believe the community you're in, you have a right to uplift the community, right? Mm-hmm. If we lived in Buffalo, New York, we would have to uplift Buffalo, New York, right? Yeah. So like we're in Columbus, and you've dedicated, you and your team, right? I'm saying you, but the entire team, right, has dedicated themselves to helping young people, and I think that it's priceless, right? So my shout out is thank you guys, and please continue to do it, right? Like that's my only ask, right? I always say, what's the follow up and what's the ask? Like those are the things I leave with. That's my only ask. Just please keep this going and keep it up, because it's been tremendous.
Yeah. Well, thank you. We're definitely going to keep it. I'll keep it going. I don't have any plans to stop it. And as far as the Jack and Jill group, I believe I talked to Blake's mom about that a little bit. We tried to coordinate some stuff with them, and I wasn't too familiar. I went on there. It's a great group, so I'm going to put a link down in the description for that, for those of you that want to check that out. A great community group for that as well. And thank you for singing the praises. I'm not paying this guy.
No.
But a tremendous family. Blake has been with us for so long, and you guys have grown with us, and we've grown, and we can't grow without you guys and other supportive families. So thank you guys for being there and not letting Blake quit when it's tough, and being there to support her during her belt promotions and things. Miraculous family. Just like any connection, it's just about that consistency and that connection. Really, those two things are what fuel all that growth. So thank you for your time today. Thanks for stopping by.
A lot of respect, man. I appreciate you guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.